Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to How to Build. Today we're going to be looking at Steelskull. If you are only here for artifacts and masteries and all that good stuff, I'm putting it up on the screen now. So feel free to pause and use that as you will. If that is all you're here for, I appreciate you stopping by. Be sure to like the video and subscribe and do all the fun stuff you do as a YouTube viewer. And be sure and catch what I put out in the future. For anybody that wants to stick around now, I'm going to be talking about Steelskull as a champ. We're going to talk about the stats, we're going to talk about the skills, and just go a little bit more in depth on what Steelskull's good at and why I think certain sets and masteries and things of that nature are good. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Steelskull is one of the best supports in the game. It's really undeniable at this point. He's just really, really good. Particularly for clan boss. He's an excellent clan boss support because he brings so much to the fight in the way of support, and he's got poisons on his first skill, which is going to help him contribute damage regardless of how far you've grinded his mastery tree out. Straight out of the gate, he can contribute damage, and his support is hard to match. So as far as base stats go, he's also looking really, really solid. He's got 111 base speed, which is among the highest in the game. It's not the highest in the game, but it is up there. And you want your supports to be fast because you want them turn cycling. Anybody that's got heals and cleanses and things like that, you want them getting as many turns as possible so that they can keep those things off cooldown. So the fact that he's got good base speed means he's going to be fairly easy to build. He's got over 950 base defense, which means that's going to be a little bit easier to scale. He's going to be able to take hits fairly well. And his HP is over 16,000. So he's got really good base tank stats. On top of that, he's got 1,277 base attack, which is on par with a lot of rare attackers. So as far as base stats go, he's kind of the total package. He's got everything you can want him to have. So even though he's a support, he's still going to be doing a decent amount of damage. And like I said, in Clan Boss, he's going to be able to stack poisons up and just bring so much to the fight in Clan Boss. But he is good support anywhere you want to take him. There's really nowhere he's not useful, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and get into his skills and talk about why they're good. His first skill attacks one enemy 2 times, has a 10% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Now the only downside to this skill is that for it to really start to be effective, you're going to want to get him skilled up, right? There's 25% extra chance to land in his skill ups, and he's only at 10. So you can get him at a 35% chance to land his 5% poison debuff, and you're going to notice that jump. Now, that's not to say he won't ever land it with it being 10%. Even before I had mine skilled up, he was still landing the poison pretty reliably. I didn't even know that it was a 10% chance until recently when I took a look at it. So he still lands it as though it's higher than 10%, but you still want to skill him up just for the sake of the argument. But on top of that, it's a multi-hit, so that gives him some utility in Fire Knight. And this is one of the reasons I say you can take him anywhere. He's even helpful in Fire Knight. He's going to be peppering that shield down, and then he's bringing a lot of great support. And then when the shield's down, he's going to be able to put some poisons on and help out there. So really, there's nowhere in the game you can't take him. His second skill removes all debuffs from a target ally, then heals them by 40%. Skilled up is 50%, and then with masteries, it goes even higher. So excellent skill. It's always nice to be able to cleanse. If this was a full cleanse, he'd probably have to be a legendary because he would be so strong. So I think making this a single target is the right move, and it is very effective, especially in Clan Boss. You know, sometimes you need that burst heal, and the good news is he's got another skill that heals, so you're not having to burn your heal on one person and then be stuck for a while. His third skill places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns, and heals all allies by 20% of their max HP, and then again, skilled up it's 30, with masteries it's even higher. So it's a fairly substantial heal for your whole team, not to mention the 60% defense buff on everybody. So he's putting a lot of survivability into your team while also contributing heavily on the offensive front, whether it's in Clan Boss where he's stacking poisons, Fire Knight he's peppering the shield down, or any other boss he's dropping poisons on him and helping get that HP down. So all around, none of his skills are wasted skills. Everything, he's very efficient, he's very effective, he's very strong. and he's just really an excellent champ. I was lucky enough to pull him pretty early on, and it really doesn't matter when you pull him. He doesn't need godly artifacts to be amazing. He doesn't need a fully decked out mastery tree to be effective. Although when you get his mastery tree done, you're gonna notice he's going to be a different champ than he was before you did it. But you can pull him as a new player, and he can change your game. I firmly believe that. He can help you push further into the game than you would be able to get if you didn't have him. And then they recently changed his aura with the releation of reletion? Reletion? What word was I going for there? It was release, but there was another word I was going for there, and they got combined. I won't waste time thinking about it. With the release of Faction Wars, they changed his leader aura to be faction specific, which is fine. Generally, you're going to be using a different aura than his anyway, so that's not really a big deal. That doesn't hurt him much. But as like I said, as far as base stat and skills go, he's just a phenomenal champ. One of the best epics in the game, I think. I think that's hard to argue. And he's spirit. It's hard to get good spirit champ sometimes, so he's just all around pretty solid. Now, as far as the artifacts that I put up at the beginning of the video, I want to talk a little bit about those sets and why I think they would be good. As for the 4 sets, which are 4 artifact sets, Lifesteal was on there. Lifesteal is exclusive to Clan Boss after he has War Master. Before that, don't use Lifesteal on him. The only time you want to put Lifesteal on him is if you're using him in Clan Boss and he has War Master. Then Lifesteal can be effective because what he does a pretty good job of, or can do, is keeping himself healed so that he can use his heal and cleanse on someone else. It's just one less target for him to have to heal. And then eventually, you know, later in the game, you'll start to grow out of Lifesteal for Clan Boss. But for a good portion of the mid-game, early and mid-game, when you're getting to a point where you're completing mastery trees, Lifesteal is really nice to have in Clan Boss. So that's why Lifesteal's on that list. The curing set is pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to boost the amount that he heals. So we're talking skilled up. That's a 50% heal. Masteries, it goes up. Curing, it goes up. Basically, it becomes a full heal. And then this one also becomes a really substantial heal. Very close to a full heal. You know, because you're never healing someone from 0% anyway. You know, generally, the lowest someone gets in most situations is, you know, 20, 15%, 10% if things are getting iffy. But generally, when people start dropping below that, they kind of die anyway. So, you know, whatever. Reflex set has potential to reduce his cooldowns. As I said, with any support, especially one as strong as this one, if he can reduce cooldowns on these skills, that's only going to help you. Skilled up, this is a 4-turn cooldown. If you can get this down to a 3-turn cooldown, or maybe lug up and just get it back in 2 turns, it keeps the defense buff up. It keeps everybody healed. Here, it keeps... You know, that's a 3-turn cooldown, so with Reflex, he's going to be popping this out pretty regularly. So it's just going to help him get his heals off more often. It's going to be, basically, the enemy's going to have to one-shot you if he's on Reflex, because it's going to be real hard to out-damage him through a number of turns. Because if Reflex keeps kicking in, he keeps getting these really strong heals back, especially with Masteries done and him being skilled up. Basically, the enemy is going to have to one-shot you to be effective, right? So that's kind of why I think Reflex is good on him. Shield, again, another one that's just kind of self-explanatory. Shield is a really good set, and you're going to be wanting to build him speedy, tanky, and accurate. Accurate if you want to use him in Clan Boss especially. You can kind of skimp on the accuracy everywhere else if you're not real focused on him landing the poisons, but speedy, tanky is non-negotiable. That's what he needs to be. So shield set is going to help spread that survivability out across the whole team. And then Relentless, as rare as it is, I figured I would put it on here anyway, because much like the Reflex set, him getting extra turns is, you know, getting him back around to his heals and cleanses and things of that nature faster. So Relentless, you know, it's a good set. What are you going to do? As far as the 2 sets, Life, fairly self-explanatory, and early on, that's what you're going to be wanting to go with. If you pull him early in the game, life, you're just bumping his HP up. Accuracy, again, self-explanatory, especially if you want to take him into Clan Boss, which I highly recommend, especially early in the game if you have Steelskull. There's really no stage in the game Steelskull is not effective in Clan Boss, but especially early, you put an accuracy set on him, it'll help him land that poison. You know, that's going to be nice to have. Speed, again, a lot of the 2 sets are pretty self-explanatory. Speed, you want him fast because you want him turn cycling, getting back around to his skills. And then Immortal, Divine Life, and Divine Speed, again, all for the same reasons that the simpler versions of those sets would go on him. You know, but that's it. You want him speedy, you want him tanky, and if he's in Clan Boss, you want him to be accurate. You want him to be accurate otherwise, but it's kind of necessary in Clan Boss. Now what we'll do is we'll pop on over and take a look at my Steelskull, who is on life, speed, and resistance. The reason he's on resistance is just because I get a lot of really good resistance gear, and even though the set itself I don't really care about, it's hard to pass up some of the stats on some of these items. Here I had the good defense, really good accuracy, and a little bit of speed, and then on the gloves we had the accuracy. Like, we had everything we were looking for on these, and they just kind of fit into place with the rest of the things that I had put on him. And I haven't really had to make any changes to him in a long time, but as you can see, we've got the accuracy, we've got the speed, and we've got the HP, and we've got the defense. Those are all the things that we're going to want on him for him to be effective. There's nowhere I take him in the game that he disappoints me. He always does his job, and you know, he's not super hard to build. As you can see, I have no 6-star gear on him yet. He's got a 3-star amulet. And just by 6-starring, or I'm sorry, just by plus 16ing all the gear that I have on him and doing a pretty decent job of finding the stats that I want and the substats of gear, you know, we could have a Steelskull that looks like this. So by no means is he the best in the game, but he's good enough to do everything I need him to do. Like I said, I never have any complaints out of him. As for masteries, we'll take a look at his mastery tree and talk a little bit about why I did what I did with these masteries. So I built my masteries on him for Clan Boss. It's been a long time since I've done his masteries, but I know that I was mostly focused on Clan Boss, but I think I kind of did a little bit of a hybrid. So as you can see, we did what we wanted up here with the crit rate, crit damage, because that's almost always how you start this tree out. And then we gave him a little bit of extra damage, but all this is kind of just a formality to get down to here so that we can get him to War Master. War Master is really the main reason we're using the offense tree on him. And then his support, there's a few different ways you could go here, and the problem with suggesting masteries is that there's usually so many different ways you could do it depending on how you want to use a champ, that there's really no way to suggest every possibility, which is why I didn't used to do them. But I got enough people asking me about masteries that I decided to just go ahead and start doing it. So what I wanted to focus on was the accuracy. So I started with the accuracy route. We gave him this one just because I didn't really care to have either one of these. Some people like to go charged focus here. I don't, because I do everything on auto, and he's not going to need accuracy on auto. He's not going to need this mastery on auto, because if none of his other skills are on cooldown, he's going to use them. Right? If any other skill's available, he's not going to attack. So this would do me no good since I like to auto everything. But if you like to manual, then this would not be a bad thing to do, especially for Clan Boss. It's 20 extra accuracy for him to potentially land that poison. So now in this tier, we're looking at turn meter, because as I said, we're looking for turn cycling. We're looking for him getting as many turns as possible so that he can keep his heals in the game. So here, if a buff cast by him expires, he gets turn meter. And as we know, he does put that shield buff on. So if every time it expires, he potentially gets turn meter. And then here, it's the same thing, but with a debuff. So when he puts the poison on the Clan Boss, when it expires, he potentially gets a little turn meter. Now, there are other options here. Increases the amount of healing if the target has less than 40% HP, 40% or less. You know, you could certainly go this direction and increase his healing by 5%, and then again increase his healing if you want more heals out of him. So There's another direction you could go in here, but I'm just showing you the way that I went for what I felt like I needed out of him. Beyond that, decreasing the cooldown of a random skill, because again, I've beat that into the ground at this point. Increases the set bonuses of basic artifact sets, because we have all those on him, life, speed, and resistance, so we're getting a 15% bonus from those sets. Here we have increases the chance of placing any debuff. So this helps on his first skill because it's a relatively low percent chance to proc to then roll the accuracy to land the poison. This is an extra 5% that would go into the skill description. So even without him being skilled up, this would make it 15% chance instead of 10% chance, right? So I thought that was going to be pretty important. And then here, the chance to extend any debuff cast by this champ. So that's just one more turn that his poison stays up on the clan boss, enabling him to do a little more damage, right? But again, there is another route here. If you wanted to extend the shield that he puts, then you could go down the left side of the support tree kind of and focus on those kinds of things. But that's what I did with his masteries, and that's why I did it. Again, there are other directions you could go, and I kind of touched on those. So if you have any more in-depth questions about that, ask me in the comments, and I'll do my best to help you through there. You can also join the Discord where the community puts up what they've done with their... We've got a whole mastery section where people put the masteries that they've done for certain champs in that channel, and you know, there's reference points in there. So I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for Steelskull. We've talked about his artifacts, we've talked about his skills and stats, we've talked about masteries, and as far as usefulness, pick a spot. Close your eyes and touch the screen, you can take him there. He's an excellent champ, useful everywhere, not that hard to build, and can come with you from early game all the way to end game. I really do believe that. I think he's just an excellent champ, and he's just got so much utility. He's so easy to build, and he's so useful in every part of the game. So that's going to do it. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope it was helpful. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the new format of how to build. As I said, these require a little bit more time and effort, so I'm not able to pump them out as fast. So let me know if you guys like the difference in the layout rather than the speed at which I was getting the old ones out. That would help me out a lot. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, do all that fun jazz. And yes, I believe I've covered everything. I'm just trying to make sure. I think that's it. Everybody have a good one. I'll see you in the next one.